Second down and goal. Herbert, wide open, touchdown. Pretty easy pickup. 7-point game. Picked again. That is 5 turnovers in the last 11 plays.
Well, this has been a defensive battle. Neither offense has really been able to get much going.
Tight formation, a pitch. Barkley, first down, goodbye. Looks like we are headed for overtime. Trying to tie it or win it. Hurts keeps, throws, batted up and picked off. And the Chargers win the ball game.
Hello, happy Tuesday. Welcome to First Take, everyone. I am Shae Cornette, Chris Canty, Jeff Saturday in the house.
Hey now.
Stephen A. is here as well, coming to us from L.A. He was on Monday Night Countdown last night.
What's up, y'all?
Good morning, Stephen A.
Good
How
morning,
are
good
you?
morning. How y'all doing?
Look at how excited he
How
is.
smooth
he got that mauve. Is that mauve? Is that a mauve suit out there in L.A.? Okay, then.
Yeah.
It is mauve.
Yes, it looks kind of nice.
You know what's the big time?
What's up, y'all?
Big time, Sue? When you won't find the color in that 64 box of crayons.
No.
You can't find that one.
Hey,
That's a very, very specific
Yes,
color.
sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, you know, the simplest way to describe the color, rich.
Rich.
That's the best way to describe
Very
the color.
rich.
Hey, fellas.
Hold up.
Hey, fellas. We're on TV. But when I'm off TV.
Oh, he's got the
Oh, there we go.
I'm just saying.
This dude is
saying.
too much.
Just saying.
He
He had
is
him
too
ready.
much.
He had him ready to go.
Can't hide money,
You
Jeff.
can't
You can't hide it. No matter how you try.
All right, not in the 64-box crayons. In the 124, though, you might find some mauve. All right, took overtime last night and a lot of turnovers, but the Chargers found a way to put the Eagles away. Justin Herbert, who had surgery on his left hand on Monday and yet still threw 139 yards, rushed for 66. He was sacked, though, 7 times. That wasn't good. The Eagles did finally get Saquon Barkley going. He had 122 yards on the ground, but Jalen Hurts threw 4 interceptions, including a game-sealing INT. Philly has now lost 3 straight, and so here's their head coach, Nick Sirianni.
We're built to overcome, and we know how to do that. And again, but it's going to start with the week of, this week, getting back late tonight or whatever tomorrow, and get back at it, right? And so we'll drag ourselves through the mud on the plane ride home. Look forward to watching the tape, see what we need to fix, and then you don't have a lot of time to feel sorry for yourself. You got to have that same confidence, that same joy that you come in every single day, and I'm looking forward to getting back to work.
So with the loss last night, the Eagles left the door cracked open for the NFC East title with 4 weeks remaining. The Eagles still have a 91% chance to win the division. They're projected to win 3 out of their final 4 games. Yet still, the Cowboys are right there for the taking, with Philly kind of in this free fall situation. Do we think they can still hold on to that NFC East? Stephen A., what do you think?
I did think I'll hold on to it, but I do think it's a precarious situation when you're talking about a quarterback that committed 5 turnovers. We can't get around that. Now, obviously, one of them was right through the hands of A.J. Brown. You know how much love I got for that brother. You know I think he's been a prophet in terms of pointing out the problems with the Philadelphia Eagles. I thought he got a bad rap for the most part throughout the season when people were calling him out, because all he was doing was bringing attention to what needed to have attention brought to it. But I got to tell you, one of those interceptions that went right through his hand, that dime that Jalen Hurts dropped in his eye, I understand, he had his arm tugged at or whatever, but that hit him right in the hands. You're big time. You're a man amongst boys. You've got to pull that in the left end of the end zone. To me, you got to pull that in. So those are 2 plays that I look at A.J. Brown, I'm like, damn, missed opportunity on a touchdown. Definitely that was alligator arms. There's no way to slice it. He felt footsteps, okay? And those were alligator arms. That is a catch. He is supposed to make that catch. That interception is not on Jalen Hurts. But what about the other 3 turnovers? And you got to take that into consideration, particularly the last one from the 17-yard line. You can hit the guy right under CC, Jeff Saturday. You don't have to throw it, on the out pattern to the guy at the 1-yard line. It's 2 guys there, all right? You can't make that throw. You're in field goal range. You're in a position to tie. You know how much is on the line. Dallas has a tie on its record in your division, and they're tugging at your heels. All of those things come into consideration before the game. But if you're playing this game like Jalen Hurts has shown he's capable of playing this game, that is a mistake at that particular moment in time you simply cannot make. He's made it, and once again, we find ourselves here talking about the Eagles' offense, because the Eagles' defense, outside of that 80-yard drive to open the game by the Chargers, they put the Chargers pretty much on lock and key. The Chargers couldn't find a rhythm all game long. They really couldn't do much with that Eagles' defense. So the Eagles' defense showed up, gave them every opportunity to win. That offense didn't answer the call, and that's why they lost this game.
Yeah, SAS, I'm with you on that last turnover from Jalen Hurts. I don't know why he decided to force the ball.
Yeah.
But I also don't know why Nick Sirianni decided to put the ball in the air. You had 1st and 10 from the 17-yard line going in. Run the football.
Yeah.
Run it, especially behind the
10.
left side of the offensive line. They were absolutely dominant. Saquon Barkley had 8 rush attempts behind Jordan Mailata and Landon Dickinson. And guess what? He had 96 yards rushing, including 87 before contact. But a huge chunk of that came on that flip play.
Yeah,
but you still had
56,
half of those rush attempts be first downs, and you had 3 rush attempts over that left side of the offensive line that went for 10-plus yards. So I don't understand that. But to answer the question, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win the NFC East. They are. When you look at the remaining schedule, they're going to cruise to 11 wins. But whether or not they win the division is not the conversation we should be having about the Philadelphia Eagles. The conversation we should be having about the Eagles is, how can this team position themselves to go back-to-back? Because that's all anybody talked about after they won Super Bowl 59. With the talent that they had on this roster, the young guys on the defensive side of the ball, Super Bowl MVP quarterback, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, an offensive line that was the most dominant in football that we've seen in some time, and the majority of those players coming back, we were saying to ourselves, are they going to be the 3rd team in the last quarter century to go back-to-back? We saw the Patriots do it. We saw the Chiefs do it. We were ready to compare the Eagles to those modern-day dynasties, and they are a far cry away from that. And based on what's happening on the offensive side of the ball, I don't know how they get back to the team that we saw at certain points this year, but also the team that we saw the majority of last year.
Yeah, I don't think they go back to last year, right? I think their offensive line, without Lane Johnson, they're 15-27. They were 15-25 before he got hurt. They've lost 2 in a row without him. He is an absolute stud at the right tackle position. Him being out has been detrimental for them on that side of the football. But here's the thing. I took a lot of grief on this show maybe a month and a half ago when everybody was telling me how boring this offense was, how boring the Eagles were. They're this, they're that. And I said, listen, there is a risk and reward profile that the Eagles stick to that allows them to win games. And we're reading cryptic texts from A.J. Brown, and everybody wants to worry about is he happy, what's happy. Everybody's got problems in Philly. They don't think Hurts can do it. I don't care if he can do it. It don't matter. You know how they win games? Don't turn the ball over. In the last 3 weeks, they're averaging 2+ turnovers a game, and they've lost every game. The truth of the Eagles is that they fell into the trap of listening to what everybody else thought. I don't care if you score 10 points a game because you beat the Packers doing it that way, right? You beat the Rams doing it that way. This is a good enough football team on the defensive side that if you just hold serve offensively and make it an ugly game and find ways to make big plays in the latter portion of games, you'll win a bunch. They targeted A.J. Brown 13 times last night. He had 3 drops. 1 was an interception that SA talked about. The first play of the game. Got to be a catch, man. If you're going to cry about, I got to get more touches, I'm here for a reason, they're not letting me do then when the ball hits you in the hands, you got to make the play. In the end zone, you got to make the play. Jalen Hurts, people can talk about how limited he is. Then when he does give you the right ball, you got to make the play. And CC, you and I both know this, and SA, you know this, man. If you're making a fuss, attention cuts both ways. If you're going to scream about it, then be about it. And last night, unfortunately, and look, Hurts did not play well. I'm not trying to absolve Hurts of what he did. What Stephen A. said at the beginning is 100% true. He didn't do enough. But it's the other guys as well, y'all. Like, don't just beat up on one. It's all of them. And offensively, they need to find. They cannot be in shotgun 40 times in a game. Put the man under center. I don't care who likes it, who don't like it. Go under center and throw the ball. It helps timing. It helps everybody. And right now they're trying to make everybody happy outside of their locker room instead of winning games.
Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, listen, I get where you're coming from, and for the most part, Jeff, you're absolutely right. Again, A.J. Brown still has 6 catches for 100 yards, but the bottom line is there were missed opportunities. Yeah. It was a touchdown catch. No way around it. You got to make that play. And the interception, you had alligator arms. That's a fact. We all saw it, okay? So you got to look that out the way. But I'm also thinking about those 5 turnovers only being manufactured into 6 points by the Chargers, which means that even when your defense is playing on an elite level, this particular Eagles offense can find a way to lose the game for you still. That's the message that you have to peel from that, to me, is what should be so alarming. The fact that the defense was so stout last night and they helped neutralize, they really went about neutralizing the Chargers the way that they did. You're supposed to win that game.
Yep.
So this is one of those games, if we had asked the question, guys, did the Eagles lose it or did the Chargers win it? We'd be saying the Eagles lost it because of the positions that they put themselves in, the fact that their defense prevented the Chargers from taking advantage of the multitude of mishaps that happened, and still they walked away because uncharacteristically, you committed, you're averaging 3 turnovers a game over the last 3 games. You know, Jalen Hurts throws 40 times last night. He only completes 53% of his passes. He's got a quarterback rating of like 31. You're not accustomed to seeing him make, which gives every indication something is just awry. Y'all are not on the same page. And then when you point about him not lining up behind center and constantly being in that shotgun, you're like, why is that? Why is that the case? Why? Why would you do that with Jalen Hurts, especially as big and as physical as he can be as a quarterback? There's a multitude of ways to use him, to put him in that situation time after time after time again. Made it easy for a Chargers defense to answer the call.
Yeah.
So on 1st and 10, you're throwing the football, and a lot of us are saying why, like we did at this table. Like, are we trying to prove something? I don't understand.
Yeah.
And as Stephen A. just said, it feels like they should have won this game despite the turnovers. So now we zoom in on Philly's offense. Do we feel like it's broken beyond repair, CC?
Yeah, we're going into week 15. If you ain't got it figured out by now, it's probably not going to happen. And we saw this in 2023 with Nick Sirianni. He wasn't able to figure out that offensive side of the ball. Now, in that season, the defense was god-awful too, but that's not the case with these hombres.
That was a Matt Patricia, all that, remember?
Yeah, but last night, the Philadelphia Eagles defense played well enough to win.
Amen.
Those guys got after it. 3 takeaways in that game.
Yeah.
They absolutely dominated. After that first 80-yard drive by the Chargers, they essentially pitched a shutout. It was the offense of the Eagles giving short fields to the offense of the Chargers. Think about this. If you're a player on that Eagles defense, you're sitting here today trying to figure out how you lost a game where the opposing team's quarterback completed 12 passes and he was their leading rusher.
Yep.
How in the hell does that happen?
Yep.
You know how it happens? Your offense turns the ball over 5 times. You know why that happens? Because your offense is predictable. Troy Aikman talked about it in the broadcast. You got Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, and those guys can't get any separation away from the Chargers DBs. It ain't like you got Deion Sanders back there playing corner for the Chargers. No disrespect to those guys. But the pattern recognition from those DBs was outstanding, and that's because they know exactly what's coming, which leads to Jalen Hurts having to force the football in the tight windows. Stephen A., I'm just going to give you this nugget, and I'll let you respond. Last night, the Eagles receivers averaged 2.5 yards of separation. 2.5 yards of separation. League average is 3.5 yards.
Yeah.
That's league average.
Average.
So you're wondering why the Chargers defenders were able to get all of those tips, all of those overthrows that leads to turnovers? That's why. It's because the Chargers defense knows what's happening, and Nick Sirianni is letting it happen.
True. But A.J. Brown was targeted significantly more than Devontae Smith, if I remember correctly. So the point is that when you talk about that separation, we're really getting back to A.J. Brown. And we're really getting back to him, as Jeff Saturday said, you know what, when you're going to talk about it, be about it, right? So now we're not accustomed to him being some speedster that is necessarily wide open. It's just that he's a man amongst boys, and if you put him in one-on-one situations, you know what, he's usually going to win those battles. Last night he won a few of them, but in the same breath, again, the plays that I pointed out earlier, he didn't manufacture anything out of that. The other thing we got to look at is this. We got to ask this question. I'm going to give it to you, Jeff. You know, at some point in time, we're talking about a Super Bowl champion that's a Super Bowl MVP and quarterback, Jalen Hurts. And considering the verbiage coming out of A.J. Brown's mouth throughout the season, considering what we've heard from the standpoint of Nick Sirianni in terms of his usage of Jalen Hurts, you know, like you pointed out, Jeff, lining up in shotgun for 40 passes and stuff like that, you do find yourself wondering what level of confidence they have in a Jalen Hurts, but you also find yourself flabbergasted Like, why would you lack any confidence in this guy at all, considering what you've seen him accomplish on the absolute biggest stage in football? You do find yourself wondering and scratching your head, why are we still asking these questions in Week 15 of the NFL season?
No, listen, I fully agree with you. And you think about this. I mean, you could argue that Jalen Hurts outperformed Patrick Mahomes on the biggest stage twice. Right, like Jalen Hurts when he's played some good ball.
Oh, no doubt.
So last night obviously was a very poor performance by Jalen Hurts. I'm not trying to absolve him of this. Here's my issue. Jason McCourty was on me with me this morning on Get Up, and he said this best. We were in our meeting in the morning. He said last night reminded me of the teams that Jeff Saturday played on with the Colts and Peyton Manning. We go to gun. We don't give any motion. Not going to be a whole lot of nonsense. Everybody's going to know exactly what we're going to do. We're going to out-execute you. That is not Jalen Hurts' skill set. That's not the Philadelphia Eagles receivers' skill set, right? Like they're making it hard on themselves by the style of game they played last night. They were running the ball effectively. Again, there was one big run on the fake tush push pitch, whatever. That could be a trick play if you want to say that. But Saquon was actually running behind his pads early, 2 and 3 yards.
He was getting downhill.
He was getting downhill, which I've criticized him throughout the season of being too, hip hoppy before he hits the hole. That being said, you've got to protect and do what you do well. Put Jalen Hurts under center. Allow for the offensive line to press on him, Saquon to press on him. Give some timing throws where the slants do come up. Because what the Chargers were able to do last night is just sit back in zone and watch the QB's eyes, man. And you said pattern recognition is easy at that point. All you're going to do is break on the ball. You're going to put your heels at whatever and then drive and tip. The last interception of the game, even if you don't call a run, okay, so whether it was a run or pass, the ball's got to go to Goddard right away. If that's his first, if that ball is there, I would assume that's the one he takes. Instead, he tries to feed it in. It's a tip. It's another pick that ends the game. Understanding the situation, it's first down, right? It's like what are we doing? And again, he's got pressure in his face. Throw it away. Live to play the next play. However you want to frame this, the problem is their biggest players last night made the mistakes when it was all on the line. And from a coaching perspective, whether it's A.J. Brown, whether it's Jalen Hurts, whether it's the offensive line, the people you depend on at times took turns failing last night, and that's a disappointment on the offensive side.
The positive side is that we've all pointed out they did get the run game going. We finally saw Saquon Barkley have over 100 yards for only the second time this season, and that's a really good defense in the Chargers. I believe they were third-ranked going into last night. Up next, not as good of defenses. They got the Commanders twice, they have the Raiders, and then they got the Bills one more time in there. So things could turn around for the Eagles.
Right.
They got to get right.
Games. Let's go get right games.
The only one, but the other one, Raiders.
You better.